Well, all right, all right. Hey, everybody. Sorry about that. Had a little bit of a problem launching the stream tonight. Just happened to, when you're setting up with YouTube, you have to set up the settings, meaning that in YouTube Studio Controller, I actually have to set the, what do you call it? I have to tell YouTube that we're going to be using certain camera devices and audio devices. Whereas if I don't do that start, it automatically assumes that it's going to run from the USB camera or the camera that's built on board the computer. So that just sorry about that. So now we're rolling, and good thing I didn't put that link out there too much. So what's going on? First live stream, the full live stream from 2021. 7 days in, we've had quite an interesting week of 2021. You know, you go have a 7-day buying period, waiting period, and then maybe we'd like to return this year too right now. I think it might be a good time to return the year, and let's just go back to 2020 where everything is already messed up. But who knows? So how's it going tonight? Thanks for coming out. Glad to have you with us here. And it's been interesting. Speaking of the COVID thing, we had a bit of a COVID scare this past week. I'm still kind of not really out of it, but one of our friends happened to come down with it that we saw recently. So I've kind of been, ever since Sunday, I've been quarantining myself, waiting for a COVID test. So I finally had that yesterday. You know, took the swab, stuck it up my nose, swashed it around both nostrils, sent it off to the lab, and still awaiting the lab results. But I'm not coming with any symptoms, so I'm feeling pretty good about it. And so pretty good. But let me see if I've got the results here, because I'd like to get back to work. No, still nothing. Still nothing. All right. So how's it going tonight? What are you guys smoking tonight? What are you drinking? What are you doing? And where are you? Let me know. Drop those in the comments. Let's see. So first of all, we're going to be making coffee as always. So today we're going to be using the Rattleware cupping brewer. And this is by a company called Rattleware. Their Visions Espresso company in Seattle makes the Rattleware brand of coffee brewing accessories, coffee professional tools. And that's what we're using today. And the idea behind this is that it's supposed to mimic what we call cupping in the coffee industry. And cuppings are critical tastings of coffee where you're using a bowl or a glass and you're putting the coffee, allowing it to steep, and then you're evaluating the coffee that way so that there's no contamination by any kind of paper or any kind of process. So it's theoretically the more pure way of drinking coffee. So that's what we're going to use today. And this device is really designed to, kind of mimic that, but in a more wholesome way. There we go. In a more wholesome way that allows you to, I don't know what it allows you to do, but it allows you to do something, and it allows you to have it really, neutral, I guess. All right, so we're going to be using this coffee. The coffee today, and here it is, it's a little bit pre-ground, is the Loma, is actually from a place called Loma La Gloria, and they're a coffee farm that's run by a good friend of mine, Annie Ruth Pimentel. And Annie Ruth and I go back many, many years, probably back maybe 2008 or so, when I first started going to El Salvador. And I was there, and Annie was really this kind of girl she was one of our judges that year, and we were training judges. And she was just terrible. God, she was so difficult. But through that time, her and I became really, really great friends. We're really close today. And but it wasn't until maybe 2013 that she really, really got an interest in coffee. Before that, her father had owned the coffee farm. And her father built this coffee farm called Loma La Gloria, and that's in the area in El Balsamo, how do I say this? In Quetzaltepec, which really, if you're familiar with San Salvador is the capital, right? So basically, you go over this one short mountain, and it's just on the other side. So really, it's almost like a suburb of San Salvador. And anyway, so she got bit by the bug of coffee, and then her father, she asked her father if she could take over operations. And basically, her father had built this farm many, many years ago when there was a big boom in coffee, and the boom came and then the boom went. And so he spent some money, built all these facilities. He built all the facilities to make coffee, from wet mill to dry mill. And then the market fell out. So it's kind of like, well, we're not going to do anything else with it. So pretty much all of the mechanical side of the farm sat fallow for 10 years or so, or maybe more. And, and how a lot of people produce coffee is that they'll grow the coffee and then they'll just sell the cherries when they're ripe to any party that wants to buy them. And then that party takes care of all the processing. So that's what that's what her father did for many years. And so finally she decided she was going to do it herself. So she started to, renovate the farm and renovate the equipment. And I mean, they've got some massive equipment. Like there's something what's called guardiolas, and guardiolas are big metal dryers. And I mean, when I say big metal, I mean, we're talking warehouse-sized dryers, right? Like massive dryers. What did you get? Tons of coffee, literally tons of coffee. And, the father built the farm for commercial production, to produce commercial quantities of coffee on a commercial scale for a commercial market. And he wanted to do more. Hold on. Tony is asking about that. Yeah, sorry for them. Some of you guys are trying to find the stream and trying to answer the question. But anyway, like I was saying, so she wanted to do the specialty coffee thing, like really produce high quality coffee. And, so the Guardiolas are just too big for that. So she totally eschewed the Guardiolas, sold them off to somebody that wanted to buy them. They took them apart or whatever. And she built concrete patios. And so she's been a formidable force in El Salvador since the mid 2015 or so, I would say. And that's really when I started tasting her coffee. And, she's really an interesting character because, like, a lot of coffee growers are caught up in this whole geisha craze. And so if you're not familiar, there's a variety of coffee called geisha that came out of Panama back in 2005. And it's very floral. It's very light. It's very delicate. It's very tea-like, black tea characters. And people have gone wild for it. And like competitors want to use it. All the farmers want to change to it, because it's commanding higher dollar prices. But at some point, if everybody switched to it, then the price will drop. And just because you have this varietal doesn't mean you're going to make great quality with it. And one of the interesting things about Annie is that she is so committed to the Bourbon variety. And Bourbon is this really, nowadays, it's a very ubiquitous kind of varietal of Arabica coffee. And it's not maligned, but it's not really well loved. It's not really well thought. Nobody thinks too much about it. There's Bourbon. Okay, great Bourbon. Okay, it's kind of the average specialty coffee varietal. Nobody wants to use it in competition. Nobody really wants to take it too seriously. But Annie takes it very seriously. So she works mainly with red Bourbon, a little bit of orange and a little bit of yellow Bourbon, but mostly red. And she makes exquisite coffees. Like when I first started tasting her coffee in 2015, man, it was the very best coffee I tasted that year. And I tasted a lot that year. So really amazing stuff. And so the coffee we're drinking today is the black honey. And actually, I put a link, well, in the show notes, the original show notes, there was a link for it. But like, basically this particular one, the black honey, is not, I don't have that like on a wholesale, like commercial level. This is a sample she sent. This is not a kind of a gift. She kind of sent me the very last of her black honey production in 2016. Somebody else can't get in. Let me see what we can do. Hopefully we can get once I'm in, let me look at another website here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to extract the link so I can send it to people that are texting me. Sorry about the delay on that. Like I said earlier, I made a mistake when I was launching the stream. I forgot to put the correct camera settings, and so basically it wasn't going to do anything. So yeah. So now we're here and we're rolling, and let's see. Okay, I got this. Let me get the share on that. Now I'm going to start talking again because all right, let's close that. Who was it that messaged me just now? But anyway, like I was saying, so so she makes really, really amazing coffees. And I guess we're all good. Okay, good. Okay, so she makes this coffee. And so this one is the black honey. And if you're not familiar with the honey processes, like you'll see nowadays black, red, orange, yellow, white honey processes. And basically, these are what I would call hybrid coffee processing. And basically, there's two major types of processing. There's washed, where you take the coffee, you remove the husk of it, you stick it in a bottle in a vat of water overnight, and that water causes fermentation with the sweet mucilage that covers the bean itself, and that fermentation eats the mucilage away, and it's gone. The natural processing, which is the other way of doing it, is you take the whole ripe cherry, you put it out in the sun, you let it dry for 21 days until it's fully dried, and then you use mechanical milling to remove all of the substance covering the bean down to the bean. So the honey processing is actually a hybrid of the two. So you're still pulping the cherries. So you're taking the beans, separating the beans from the hull, but now you have it coated with the mucilage, right? That coats the beans. So instead of putting that in a water bath, what you'll do is instead of putting in a water bath till all the mucilage is completely gone, you will then do degrees of mucilage removal, meaning that when people say black and red honey, that really means that they've removed the hull and they're just leaving all the mucilage on the bean. And then orange, yellow, white are degrees of mucilage being removed from the bean. Does that make sense? Okay. So once that's done, once you've reached the amount of mucilage that you want, you're going to lay it out in the sun and dry it. It usually takes about 15 to 16 days, depending on the weather, of course. And so this is the black honey from 2016. And it's amazingly interesting. There's a really rich cocoa, a light kind of grape raisin, more like a raisin character in the nose. So what we're going to do is we're going to brew that. So we're going to take this. We're going to, as you can see, this is the rattle. Like I said to others guys, this is the Rattleware cupping brewer, and it's supposed, like I said earlier, it's supposed to mimic the cupping style or the coffee experience from a actual cupping. And the cuppings are critical ways of tasting coffee. So now it's got like this hourglass waistband that's supposed to encourage the sediments to fall into the lower chamber, and then there's a plunger that you drop in, right? And then that kind of holds all of the sediment in as you're pouring it out, right? So that's the idea. Well, actually, I think I'm supposed to put it first. I've only used this like maybe twice. So I'm supposed to put it here, and then, yeah, that's right. Okay, so we're going to put that, sorry about that. I'm going to put that in, add the coffee. Oh, good Lord. I'm not doing this right. It's already escaping. And then we need our hot water. As always, hot water just off the boil. So let's give it a try. And we're going to need our timer. We're going to do timing for 4 minutes. So 4 minutes on the timer, right? And then we're going to add the water. Oh, gosh, that's not working. Oh, this is not working. All right, we're just going to bypass that. That just did not work well at all. We're going to say this is an outright disaster. All right, so a little bit of blooming, and then now we're just going to fill it to the top. All right, there, that should be good. So it fills to the top here, and just like in a regular cupping, it's going to float. Unfortunately, I forgot to bring the other light, but I've got my flashlight here. So as you can see here, right? See how the cap is now floating on top, right? So this is what happens in a regular cupping. You're using a smaller bowl for it. And I have changed the ratio. So like in, let's say a typical bowl that we use here is about, I'll show you. Like this is a typical cupping bowl, right? So you can see the scale difference. And this holds about 9 ounces of water. So for this, we're probably using only like 13 grams of coffee. But for this, we're making a 12-ounce cup, so we're making it at regular brewing standard, and we're doing it with 24 grams of coffee. And as you can see, it's floating on top, right? And during a cupping, you're going to use this time to smell the aroma. All right, good. So Rusty's asking, who's the manufacturer? Rattleware, yes. RW is called Rattleware, and Rattleware is a division of Visions Espresso in Seattle. But this one, when I redo the show links, the show notes, it'll be all in the bottom. But basically, this one I get from sweetmarias.com. All right, so it's rolling along. We're about a minute and a half into it. So like in a regular cupping, what we're going to do for this one is we're going to eventually stir with the cupping spoon. And as you can see, this is a cupping spoon. It's kind of a glorified, soup spoon, but with a deeper bowl, right? The bowl is pretty deep. And this one, has my name engraved in it. It was a gift. Is that my name? Yeah, it is. What's upside down? One of the companies gave this to me, and they're very kind of them. But these are interesting. Like some of them are in silver, like real silver, so they tarnish. The interesting thing about this is that coffee people are really strange. Like me personally, I cup wherever we go, so I could be any part of the world cupping, but I never bring a spoon. I just use whatever. Most places use soup spoons. We use soup spoons here mainly, but most places use soup spoons because they're ubiquitous. And unless you go to a real serious facility, not everyone has only these type of spoons, right? So I go to places and I'll just couple them, but there are guys out there in the industry, man, they bring their spoons with them everywhere they go. I mean, they're really, really like super hardcore about that. I personally think it's a little bit strange, but to each their own. All right, so we're coming up to the end of our time. There we go. Oh, there we go. So now we're going to Now we're going to do what's called the breaking. So breaking is basically we're going to crack the top and use this opportunity to smell whatever may be released by breaking the cap. And it should be falling, right? Like it should all be falling down. Is that right? Can you see? Oh, no, it's not. I guess it is falling. All right, I don't know if this is really how you're supposed to do it. But as you can see, it is kind of falling down, right? It's kind of falling. We're going to have to scrape it out, I think. All right, you can see it kind of all just kind of cascading down. It's cleared up a little bit, but there's still some stuff at the top, right? Okay. Okay, so we're going to have to clear that off. And I'll show you how we do that. So I probably should watch one of the videos online about how to do this correctly with this brewer. All right, so let's try. So I've been back and I grabbed some regular old soup spoons. So we're just going to use this to scrape it off. Oh, there's a lot floating here. Man, there's a lot. All right, not the easiest way to do this. Oh, there's still some more. There's still a lot. Look at that. This is just distressing. All right, we'll just live with that. Okay, so now we're just going to take the plunger, and we're going to put it in, trying not to disturb too much, and we're going to seal off the bottom as thus. I think really one of the problem is I probably should have restarted it by taking all the coffee out and really giving it a good seal, because I think, of course, there were grinds stuck between the plunger and... All right, so we got our cup here. Good Lord. This is just terrible. No respect for the coffee here. No respect. Probably should have grabbed a Coke. So unfortunately, we've got a lot of like floaters. Oh. Not bad, not bad. Actually quite nice. A lot of nice warm chocolate tones. More chocolate and cream. Good round body. There's not much sweetness. Like it's a low sweetness. The acidity is kind of on the low side, but nice round body. Nicely balanced. I think we'll go good with chocolate. Which, speaking of which, let me grab some chocolate. Oh, what I mean by that is that I've been thinking this past week, or a few weeks ago, I read this article, right, that was talking about how it was basically homemade cake versus commercial cake, and how commercial cake in some ways is better than homemade. And I know a lot of you guys that are cooks, are kind of like, what are you talking about? But I went out and bought this. This is the Betty Crocker Super Moist Yellow Cake, and I made this today. And so evidently there's, in the ingredients in here are enriched flour, bleached, sugar, corn syrup, leavening, and then contains 2% less of modified cornstarch, palm oil, propylene glycol, mono and diesters, salt, monoglycerides, dicalcium phosphate, sodium steroid lactates, xanthan gum, cellulose gum, natural artificial flavor, and yellows 5 and 6. Somewhere along the way, these are in those ingredients is something that's supposed to make the cake more moist, better in that respect. I'm not sure. So I thought that I'd find out by buying a box. And you know what? These are super cheap. Actually, I bought this back in October. I was at the Dollar General and I bought this, right? The Super Moist. And then I bought also the Betty Crocker Rich and Creamy, right? And, it's pretty simple. The Super Moist, you basically take it, you add 3 eggs, half cup of vegetable oil, and then a cup of water. I had some milk left over that was going to expire soon, so I wanted to get rid of it, so I used milk instead. And since the eggs that I get are from this local farm that actually gives me like undersized eggs. I get a really good deal on undersized eggs that aren't quite medium. So I have those. So I've used 4 of those real small eggs, and then cooked it for like 40 minutes at 350 degrees. And so this is what I came up with. So we have the cake, right? Is that high enough? Let's go a little bit higher. So here's the cake. Chocolate cake. And we're going to give it a try. Right? Because it's the first of the year. I cut into it. I went a little fancy. Right? I went a little fancy and I made it into a layer cake. Now, I'm not a baker. I'm really more of a cook that occasionally bakes. So there it is. So now, oh, come on, baby. Huh? A little bit uneven. A little bit. That's all right. That's all right. Let's see. All right, there's the cake. So I made a small one. I just kind of lopped off the top, or cut it in half. Lopped off the top because the top was a little bit messy. All right, so let's give it a try. Is the cake more moist? Here's the thing. It's good, right? But it's got that commercial quality to it. It's got that commercial kind of mouthfeel, almost like very spongy, not really light, kind of heavy. Very buttery kind of tasting. I think my mom makes better cakes than this. I mean, I guess it's not bad. It's not bad. But is this the kind of cake that you would look forward to? I don't think so. Oh, good Lord. I think my local bakery makes better cakes than this. So is it more moist than a regular cake? Than a homemade cake? I don't think so. At least not from my experience. And I'm eating a lot of it because I'm giving it the good gusto. But, the crust on it was pretty thick, so I probably should have cut off all the crust. All right, that's enough. Let's stop here. Oh, let's have some more coffee. Oh, that helps to wash it down. It really helps to cut that out. All right, so how's everyone doing tonight? Thank you for tuning in, as I said before. And as always, really glad to have you here tonight. So where are you guys smoking? What are you guys smoking? What are you drinking? The usual questions. I'm always curious to know. So, drop those in the comments. Rusty's saying with the super moist cake, save a piece and you'd say a day or two from now. Oh, that's a good point. Okay, so, wow, I've got plenty to keep. So I will be doing that. Because it would be very unchristian to, let the cake go to waste. Right? I think everyone cannot get along with that idea. All right, so now we're back to the cigar of the week, and we're back to our normal schedule after 2 weeks of holidays and festivities. Did you guys gain weight? I don't think I gained weight. Although I did try to start, I have been thinking about jump rope, right? A couple months ago, more than a couple months ago, back in the summer, Mike Rosales from Roma Craft and I were talking about it, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I found these guys on YouTube. They're the jump rope guys, and I bought some jump ropes. I'm going to start working out with them." And I'm like, "That's a good idea. That's a good idea." So I've been thinking about it. I even bought a jump rope, right? So I can't get all of it, but leather. You know, I looked up online, and there was a couple brands that were supposed to be pretty good, and this was one of the really pretty good ones. Leather with like swivel. The ones that the jump rope guys make, they're like over $100. I'm not spending $100, $150 on a jump rope. It does look really nice. It comes in a whole box set and gives you all these accessories, but my fat ass is not going to be jumping that much. And so I tried starting last week, and I was like, man, knees are not ready for that. Knees are not ready for a fat guy to be jumping around. So we're going to have to start a little bit slow. Maybe a couple, just step over, swing it around, step over it, swing it around, step over it, swing it, then maybe slowly. But anyway, that's what I was thinking about recently. And so now we're going back to the cigar. And again, I got these at Tobacco Leaf in Jessup from Rahul. And our cigar today, this week, is the Drew Estate Cigar Dojo Undercrown Dogma Maduro. There it is, Dogma Maduro. And this is a 6x56 box pressed Maduro that comes from Nicaragua. Of course, it's made at the Drew Estate's La Gran Fabrica de Drew Estate in Esteli, Nicaragua. I got to tour the factory on the Cigar Safari back in 2014. Really, really great place. And what can we say about it? So it's got well, let's open it up. Got cake in the teeth against the gums. So we've got a very nice San Andreas, Mexico wrapper that is, so it's a light box, what they call a light box press, which just seems like a normal box press. I don't know about you guys, but I really tend to find box press cigars to my liking. Whether it's the Padron, 1964 series, or the SP54 Maduro from Abe Flores, or the Intemperance Revenge from Roma, I really seem to gravitate towards the lighter draw of the box press cigar. And this one looks real nice. Nice color. Nice kind of like cocoa chocolatey, nice brown. And it looks like a nice cigar. It feels a little bit, not too oily, but just kind of feels, not really feels silky. That's what it is. It's a silky feel. It's got a kind of a sweet barnyard manurish. I don't know what's with all these manuring smelling cigars. Actually, it's not. It's less not knowing what's up with the manure smelling cigars, but what's up with the idea that manure smells comforting. Yeah, what's up with that? All right, so inside we've got there we go. It's a Nika Matafina tobacco filler from both Nicaragua and Brazil, and then it's all wrapped with a Connecticut stock cut Habano binder, and then of course the San Andres Maduro finishes it off. And the MSRP on these are $10.78 or $170.87 for the bundle of 10. They come in bundles of 10, and so let's see. So manure, sweet manure. Cool. Let us cut. So we're going to cut here. Ooh, how can I cut this? Let's see if I can get a little more detail in the cutting for you guys. We're cutting with the MTX Xikar. Yeah, Xikar, nice. So there's our cut. Maybe the MTX is getting a little bit on the not so sharp side. So it does have a sweet kind of raisiny manure barnyard kind of draw, cold draw. Kind of like, ooh, you know what it is? The cold draw reminds me of like a Latakia tobacco for pipe smoking. So Rusty says, coffee for me tonight, Ethiopian Bente Nenka, courtesy of Stay Golden Coffee in Nashville. Oh, nice. I haven't tried their coffee. And then Tony's having the HVC Pan Caliente in the smoking room. Excellent, excellent. Thank you for tuning in. All right, so let's light. Okay, we're going to light with the match. Oh, the last match. The problem with these is that sometimes you just don't get it all. I got to touch up. Now that we're out of the big ones, got to go to the small one. All right. So starting off, just the initial light, it's got a bit of body. Body is really, I want to say spice, but there's really not a spiciness to it. So let's tell them a little bit more about this. So the Dogma was originally created back in 2014 to celebrate the first anniversary of Cigar Dojo's.com's online community. And so they partnered with Drew Estate to make this cigar. And so this is an extension of their Undercrown line. And so they basically took the Corona Viva from Undercrown, and I think they basically expanded on that, from my understanding. And then the name Dogma, which actually was named by Jonathan Drew's father, Gary, who thought of the name Dogma for it. So originally this was released through Smoke Inn. I'm not sure if they're still released through Smoke Inn or if they're part of their normal release now. Maybe Tony knows about that. But this one I got from Rahul. So where the MSRP is $10.78, Rahul, I got it from Rahul for about $12.95. So not too much more, but that's the one thing about the Drew stuff. Like this one also, you know, when you think Nicaragua cigars, there's a lot of thought about pepper, pepper, pepper. Now it's become very pepper, 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 black pepper, and that kind of spice. This one is not really like that. It's got that fuller body, but more smoothness to it. Not that harsh black pepper. Maybe similar to the way that the T52 Bellicoso starts off, which is another cigar from Drew that I really, really like. Tony says these are natural releases now. Okay. But they're only released very, very. My understanding is that from what I was reading, they're only released once a year, or something like that, or maybe every other year. Like this is a 2020 release. I think they did one in 2018, and then 2014. I think it was. I mean, based on some of what I was reading earlier, like Blind Man's Puff review came out in December 2019. Half Wheel came out a year before than that in December 2018. Cigars Daily did say that this is quote unquote one badass smoke. I'm hoping that it will live up to that. But some of the other reviewers, like Blind Man's Puff gave it a 93 with medium strength and medium body and complexity. Half Wheel in 2018 gave it an 85 rating, which again, 83, 85, and 93. That's pretty. If we're thinking even scaling, that's still a pretty big disparity. It's nice. It's nice. It's smoking nicely. There's a good amount of smoke. There's a nice draw. Like there's a good resistance on the draw. It's not too light. That's not bad. Not bad. So what's been happening to everybody this week? How's your week been? How's the year starting out? Mine, I've been kind of like I said earlier, I've been kind of cooped up because, I actually had the shop closed for the last 2 days because I was not able to work. So, and then I didn't want to run my other guy, a whole week nonstop. So, put out notice to our customers and said, hey, we're going to be closed for the next couple of days, and this is why. Want to be very upfront and very transparent with them why we're closing or why we're going to be closed for the next couple of days. Luckily, for the most part, they've all been very supportive, very happy. So can't really complain. So let's see what's trending in the world. So I'm looking at Google's trends. Evidently, Elon Musk is trending. I don't know why. Did they release something new today? And then another one, and he's over 1 million searches. Francisco Lindor is another one. Ariel Pink, Chris Malone. Chris Malone is that rapper guy, right? The Knicks. People are excited about the Knicks. And then also The Bachelor season 25 seems to be doing a lot of interest. I don't really watch that show, so I don't really know what's happening with that. So comparing the cigar with the coffee, you've got this, medium, like a little bit more bolder flavored cigar. And this coffee on the palate feels very soft. Like a lower peach softness. I'm not saying that, but basically the mouthfeel feels very soft on the palate. Meaning that I don't know if they pair well. I don't think they pair well. I think the softness on the palate is just, clashing. Tony says that's right. That I did see that Elon Musk is now the richest man in the world. And he's richer than Bezos. Well, maybe that's because Bezos, I just saw a report where Bezos just went to Boeing and bought 21 767s for Prime Air. So maybe, he spent $1 billion in airplanes. So that kind of nosedived his fortunes against Elon, who yeah, not bad. Actually, right now, the cigar is not terribly exciting. It had that cocoa. It has a nice, medium body to it. It has a decent presence, but it's not terribly exciting. Like I want it to be like, like, I mean, it could be that I'm pairing it with a coffee that just doesn't go well with it. So let's try something else. We're going to go back to the Warriors White Port. Founded in 1670 in Portugal. We're going to try that. Oh. I'm just looking for something to give it really nice contrast on the palate. My cousin Bob turned me on to White Port recently. This summer, he was talking about it. It's like, oh, you gotta. Like, I think I did one show where we drank it with tonic water. This time, I think we'll just go straight. I don't know much about White Ports. There's a good acidity, some sharpness, like a palate cleansing sharpness. So let's see if that helps. A little bit. I wonder if the chemicals, the additives in the cake and the frosting have also worked to occlude the palate. Right, let's see. So I don't know if I mentioned this in the last week's show, but I've been trying to upgrade the live stream system here, right? And by doing that, by upgrading that, I mean I'm trying to get a new computer. And so recently, or in November, Apple came out with a new model of computer chip. I know I mentioned this a couple times in the past already. It came with the M1, and the M1 in a Mac Mini format with the lowest amount of RAM and hard drive space starts at $700, which in the Apple world is actually the cheapest computer they've made in a long time. And Costco.com has it on sale for $30 less. And if you do any buying in Apple stuff, you know that there's really not much of any discount available anywhere. So things like Costco, $30, that's a pretty significant discount in the Apple world. So right before Christmas, on Christmas Eve, I started by ordering online. So put the first order in. And so the big caveat here is that if you know much about Costco, they have this thing called the executive membership. And you have executive membership, and if you have that membership, whatever you buy, you get certificates for at the end of the year equal to 2% of your purchases. And, I had a couple lying around. And so I brought those to Costco, and I called up Costco. I was like, hey, I want to use these. How do I use them? I got to buy this stuff online. They're like, we have to take it to the store, get it made into a shop card, and then you can use that online. All right, fine, not a problem. So I went to the store, cashed them in, turned them into these cards, then went on the 24th, on Christmas Eve. I went online, placed the order. Great. Should be no problem. Excellent. I'm wondering, so it says going to be here a certain day. Okay, great. And I'm sure I said this that night on Christmas Eve. A few days later, I'm wondering what happened to this order. Looked it up online. It had been canceled. What the hell is this? So went again, did it again. Waited a while, got canceled. The next day was canceled. Then finally, on the next day, tried it again. Got canceled again. Then this brings us to New Year's Eve, the 31st. Same thing again. But on New Year's Eve, I thought everything was fine. Went through, never got a notice yet. Until again, it came back to just a few days ago, 4 days ago now. I look it up. canceled again. What in the world is going on? So I get on the phone with these guys at Costco.com, and I'm waiting. Man, it took like an hour and a half to get to someone. And I spent a total of like almost 3 hours on the phone. And this is 2 nights ago. So what I got from 2 of the agents was that my orders were canceled because my membership expires on January 1st. And I said to both of them at 2 different conversations, I said, wait a minute, you're telling me that the orders online were canceled because my membership was expiring on the 1st. They're like, yeah, we're talking about orders that were from the 24th to the 31st. Yeah. Man, I was so ticked off. I even harassed them to give me a manager. So finally, after a lot of harassment, they finally send me to a supervisor, who then is able to really drill down and be like, okay, so this is really the problem. There's an input error here on the first order. Okay, I got that. And so we searched it all out. I was like, she was like, okay, make sure you make these settings. And what I want to do is have it sent to my shop, right? Because there's always someone there to receive packages. I didn't want to send it to my house. And so it was a supervisor was like, well, the way that it's set up, you have to send it, because if this is where your credit card is registered, or your account is registered, it has to go there. It can't go to a business. So, all right, fine. She's like, you can send it to the warehouse. All right, fine. I'll send it to the warehouse. So yesterday morning comes, and I'm like, okay, so start again. Input everything. Now it's not like it doesn't process it. Like once you click on order, complete the final part of the order, then it goes to a 404 page does not exist error every time. So I called up again. Hey, what's going on? Go through all the rigmarole. Oh, is it? Are you on a Mac? Yes, I'm on a Mac. I'm using Chrome. Well, let's try Safari. Oh, let's try Safari. Same thing. Let's try Chrome again. Same thing. Clear it all out. Try again. Same thing. Let's try Costco.com on your phone. Same thing. So then she's like, then one agent said, well, I think there's a glitch. They're working on it. It should be fixed in a few hours. Try again in a few hours. So wait a few hours. Try again. Same problem. Get back online. More rigmarole. So finally, the agent last night, she's like, okay, look, there are terminals at the store. I'm not having that problem that you're having here in my terminal. There are terminals at the warehouse. Go to your local warehouse and do it there. All right, I'll do that. Now, you guys know I live in Cockeysville, right? So the nearest one for me is, the one that I go to is White Marsh. That's a 20-mile drive from where I live. So it's not really convenient to go there, but I want to get this done, so I go there. So I go there. I talk to the customer service. She calls over the sales supervisor, who then takes me to the terminal, shows me what to do, and I show her exactly what's happening. Same thing. Still the 404 error. God, what is going on here? So we go over to the front-end manager, the front-end assistant manager. So he goes to we go through the whole system. Each of these, I got to do the whole thing. But at least now I have the sales supervisor, backing me up now, because she's actually seen all the errors, right? So we're trying to figure out how do we make this work. I said, look, if you can't make it work, then how about taking my shop cart and giving me cash, right? Because I'll just now at this point, I no longer care about the $30 savings, because now I've wasted 3 weeks, and that $30 is moot. Just give me the cash, and I'm going to drive over to the Apple store in Towson and buy it from them. Well, the new Costco policy is they can't convert shop cards into cash, but they do convert your certificates into cash. And I was like, look, you do say, so I brought my certificates with me, the stubs and all the receipts. I said, look, here's the deal. And so they take it all the way up to the top of the chain. And even while the manager of the store is like, yeah, do whatever you need to do, there's nothing in Costco's system to allow this, which kind of makes me irritated, because I'm had I not tried to work with Costco and buy it from them and do this whole card conversion, I would not have this problem now. But anyway, so finally, he's like, all right, the assistant manager's like, all right, let me go. And he gets on the phone with Costco.com people. And it takes like another hour and like a half or so. But finally, because I'm like, dude, we need to do something. And he's actually really good. He's really advocating for this. So finally, we have somebody advocating. And so he's like, look, he finally gets them to push the transaction, giving them all the information, and then they just push it through. So finally, we're on the road to receiving this new Mac Mini. So I have no idea when it's going to arrive. Hopefully it'll arrive soon. Hopefully there's not another cancellation because, God, that would be really irritating. But I did happen to capture the phone number of the agent that did it on the Costco.com side. So if there is a problem, I will be able to I will be calling her directly and be like, hey, this did not work. But as of now, and it's been, this was like 12:30. And as of now, I have not received a cancellation notice. So that that seems to be a good thing. So we'll see. So who else is out there besides Tony and Rusty? I haven't seen George out there yet, or at least George in the chat room. Drop your comments in the chat so I know you're there. Also, what I'd like to know is, that really is smoky, isn't it? Also, what I'd like to know is, as we progress in 2021, what would you like to see on the show here? Do you want to see, should we have some guests to talk? Once I get this M1 and figure out how to make it all work, I think we can start to be a little more dynamic with the show. I can start to get I think we do multiple cameras and multiple sources so we can get a little bit more interesting in that respect. So is there some things that you would like to see, in kind of informative sessions or lessons or whatever you're interested in? Oh yeah, Rusty says, where's Al been? I hope he's okay. Yeah, that's an interesting one. So as you know, Rusty, Al is a part of our smoking group here in Baltimore. And we all got together last Wednesday, the day before I did the last stream, on the 30th. And unfortunately, on Sunday, one of the guys that's with us called us and said, hey, man, I've been sick the last few days. I've come down positive for COVID. Holy crap, man, luckily I was out of the house. I was like, oh God, this is terrible. So, and why I'm correlating this to Al is because Al's wife is very, very, rightfully so, paranoid about the COVID, right? She's very protective about the COVID. So she wasn't necessarily too happy when he came to do the show several months ago, back in the summer. And then when he went away for a business trip for work, when he came home, she made him stay at the grandmother's house for 2 weeks. And so on the 30th, we got together for a cigar. And the week before that, we got together for a cigar. And now we all get together. Actually, we're at Al's workplace. Al's boss, Eric, is actually one of our friends as well, part of our group, and he opens his doors at his warehouse. He's got this 80,000 square foot warehouse, so we can spread out and be relatively safe. And it's relatively, it's climate controlled, so we can be quite comfortable even in the cold winter. And there's George. Hey, George, good to see you. He's here. No cigar tonight. Behave like a man. You're drinking cranberry vodka and tonic. Is that behaving? Because I like that kind of behaving. But anyway, so like I'm saying, so Al has been avoiding our group the last couple times, and he didn't come last week. We were kind of like trying to get him to come. And so when Sunday, when our friend sent us the message that came in, one of the messages that I think I sent out to people was like, well, at least Al, he kind of he dodged a bullet in this one, because his wife would have been pissed off. So, that's right. Vodka cranberry is behaving. Excellent, excellent. That's good to have you as always. Even if you're unable to smoke. Did you smoke a lot? Is that what it was? Like a greater number of cigars than you normally would? Yeah, the Undercrown, it's solid. But it's just not like brilliant. Like actually reading about it, from all these people that were talking about it, Blind Man's Puff, Half Wheel, I was thinking, yeah, man, maybe it's going to be some spectacular stuff. But it's just good. It's good. It's good. It's just not like, for my palate, it's just not terribly tantalizing. Like the T52 Bellicoso is a jump from this, like different. Oh, Fifth of Makers. Oh, I wonder what that's about. I don't know. Have any of you guys tried this Dogma? I mean, I'm interested to know what you guys thought about it if you tried it. I mean, am I off? So Russ is saying if we ever can get everyone together, we'll have yes, absolutely. We will definitely have to do that once we have the time and the vaccinations to do that. George likes it. Good cigar puts up. It is putting on a nice amount of smoke. Well, there's interesting. It looks like a little bit. Can you see that? Right there at the. Looks like there might be slight tunneling or just a little burrowing action, huh? What do you think? What do you guys think about that? I mean, right now, I think it's a good cigar. Right now, it's one of those cigars that it's good, but am I like thrilled? I want to be thrilled. Like, I really want to be thrilled. But also the other side of it is I think that of all the Drew Estate cigars, my favorite really is the T52 Bellicoso Maduro. And I think that's a really great smoke. It really speaks to my palate really, really well. And traditionally, the Undercrown line is good for me, but not like one that I'm like super excited about. I think the Undercrown, the white label, the one, what's it called? The Undercrown Connecticut? Is that right? I think that's a really wonderful cigar, like nice flavor. But the blue label stuff has always just been good. Not one that I like get excited to go buy a box. T52, I would like to buy a box, but now that they're $18 a cigar, I don't buy boxes anymore. Yeah, Tony says it was good, but not very exciting. Yeah, that's a sad thing. George, I prefer the other Drew lines. That yes, I agree with you on that. And then Rusty's had a Dogma before, not sure if it's the same varietal, but yes, tons of smoke. Yeah, here's the interesting thing. Like what I saw is that on the stuff that I was reading about the blending, from the 2014 to the now, it's evidently the same blend. right? Still the same. Matafina from Nicaragua and Brazil, still the same. Connecticut style Camano for the binder, and the wrapper still San Andreas, Mexico. And it's still listed as Nick Melillo as being the blender. And Nick's been gone from Drew for what, 5 years now? Or maybe not, maybe 3-4 years. So, from what I remember of smoking other undercrowns, I think this is in line with that. It's just not one that I'm like, I would probably be, if we were to score this, I would probably be more in line with Brooks from Half Wheel in the mid 80s, maybe in the lower 80s. It's a good cigar, good quality, but is it tantalizing? I wish it was. And George saying that I'd smoke a Herrera Esteli over that all day long. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I really do like the Herreras. Do you have a favorite Herrera? Like now that we're smoking, now we're well into the second, third. There is a part of me that just kind of like since it hasn't really changed, it really hasn't tantalized me. I kind of feel like there's part of me that's like, I wish this was over. Like George likes them all, but the Maduro of the Herrera is probably his favorite. I really had to smoke more of the Herreras. I know we smoked the one for the show a few weeks back. That was quite nice. I remember when the Herrera first came out. That was really a nice experience, but I don't recall the Maduro very much. We'll have to revisit those. Also, the scheduling for the show, we have 2 more cigars to go for this particular series. I have to re-up from Rahul. So what do we got coming up? Let's see. Oh, yes. We got the Crown Heads 4 Kicks. That's, I don't know which week that is. Maybe that's next week. And then this one from Illusione, the Candela. So those will be coming next week. So the question is, what else should we be smoking in the weeks coming after that? Anything you'd like to see? So drop them in the comments so we can look at that. Liga Privado, any particular Liga Privado? Because you mean the Liga number 9 or the T series? All we gotta do is get all you guys to smoke them as well. Actually, maybe what we'll do one time in one of the coming weeks, we'll try to get everyone to get the same cigar, and then I'll figure out by that point, hopefully, how to do a unified Zooming broadcast so that everyone can kind of chime in on the number 9. All right, the number 9 sounds good. Oh, Tony saying 9, I-40, or UF-13. I think the question is, how hard will some of those be? I think the I-40 and the UF-13 are pretty are kind of rare. Is that right? Oh, Tabernacle's a great idea from George. I'm enjoying this Wars white port. That is quite nice. It's not very heavy. Like, some of the ruby ports are a little bit heavier, so you wouldn't really drink it too hard. Like this, I feel I could be drinking a little bit harder. Yeah, this is interesting. They say that this cigar utilizes a higher priming leaf for added strength and flavor and spiciness. But I'm not in complexity. I'm not really getting too much of that. There's another one that they have out that I haven't seen yet. It's called the Shady XX, which is, I guess, a 20th anniversary, or last year was the 20th anniversary for Shady Records, which is that Eminem, I guess Eminem's record label. So Tony said they're not rare, but more limited release. But he also enjoyed the Velvet Rat, the Rats. Those are pretty hard to find, aren't they? The Velvet Rat. I got a couple of I think Velvet Rats when I was at the Cigar Safari. I don't know if I smoked that yet or not. I think I smoked everything from that. Rusty's asking, have I prepared a sherry with cigar? Ooh, let's try that. All right, so Pedro Jimenez. No, I have not tried. I'm not very well versed at all in sherries. What I do have that's similar to sherry, at least is my understanding that's similar, is brandy. I picked this up the other week, Laird's Applejack. Actually, I bought this because I was going to use it to cook, and I was asking the guys, hey, what's good for cooking? And to be honest, the guy was like, this is what I use at home. And it was like Christian Brothers or one of the bigger brands. And you know what? It was definitely, I'll be honest, I'll cop to this. It was definitely an ego thing for me. Not ego, but pride thing. Like, I felt like if I have Christian Brothers bottle, what does that say? But he was like, man, it's really good. And I was like, I believe you. But I don't know. I mean, that's probably the wrong attitude to take. So we're going to try this. Applejack Laird. This is from Laird & Company. It's American made down in Scobeyville, New Jersey. Oh, that's not too far from you, Rusty. Actually, I did buy it for the soup d'oignon, and then I decided to use, I think I used white wine. Yeah, I used a Muscat, and I used what do I have at home? I have something, I think I used brandy. No, I think I used a cognac that I had at the house. Okay, how do we open this? I think this has a. All right. There we go. Okay. Oh, at the Parmesan Laird's for the French onion. I'll make some more of that. This is the time of year for French onion. One of my friends has asked me to go do some duck hunting with him. And I'm open to that. I've never done any kind of hunting. Like I've never killed any animals with guns. With cars, yes, but guns, no. And I was just thinking, I was like, hey man, so how do you? And so he was telling me that because of whatever the nature of the hunt is, when they shoot their ducks, they only carve out the breast. And I was like, what? There's so much. There's a whole duck there. How can you just leave the breast? You know what? Maybe it's the Asian side was like, man, we need to like do the Peking duck. We need to take the whole thing. But he's like, yeah, but it's a pain in the butt to like, defeather the whole thing. But I was thinking, man, yeah, you take the feathers off, and that's a pain in the butt. But then you can like make either Peking duck, or you get a couple. You get some, carve out those the legs, and you can get yourself some duck confit. And duck confit can lead to cassoulet. The number 9 Peak Corona. Well, we'll try that one too. Oh, is it really cold out there in New Jersey right now? Here it seems relatively mild. All right, let's see this Laird's. Oh, there's definitely a very appley nose to it. It's a bit on the harsh side. Like, oh, there's a burn. There's definitely a burn. Interesting. I think I prefer the sweeter smoothness of the white port. I'm more of a sweet, smoother kind of drinker. Like that sake we drank last week. Man, that was good stuff. That's nice and sweet, nice and smooth. I prefer the sweet and smooth, which is why I don't really get into those. Like a lot of those craft drinks, people are really into the cocktails, like the Manhattan or the ones that have the heavy whiskey component. Like you put the bullet, then it's all bullet, and then a little bit of whatever. I'm not really a big fan of those. The old fashioned, like an old fashioned, yeah, it's good. But me, I kind of want more for consumption. Yeah, so that's why Rusty's wanting the sweeter Pedro Jimenez. But we will try to find that. I'll look for that. Pedro Jimenez. I'm supposed to be going on a trip to Western Maryland at the very end of the month. Hopefully, I just got a message from one of the people I'm supposed to go with. He's like, I hope this COVID's going to be dead, because otherwise he's not sure if we're going to do it. And I said, well, that's fine. I don't mind not doing it if it gets crazy. But that will actually, I think we're going to be leaving on Thursday night. So there may be one Thursday we're going to do it remote. I'm going to have to look into that more. From what I've been told, there's a hot tub. So, cigars and drinks in a hot tub in Western Maryland. So George is saying, making old fashioned at home is better than getting one out. You make it to, oh yeah, good point. Old fashioned is what? Like whiskey, rye whiskey, and then like some bitters and a twist of orange peel. Is that correct? In the coffee world, when you're, and I guess this is also true even in the cigar world, when you're at origin in Central America, man, most of the drinking is going to be rum and coke. and then some Johnny Black Label. Some of my friends like Black Label. Like one of my friends who has a farm in Ocotal, Nicaragua, which is another. So if Esteli is 3 hours north from Managua, it's another hour, hour and a half to Ocotal, close to the border of Honduras. And he's a big Johnny Black guy. Oh, cigar idea. Can Rahul set up a 3-pack of unlabeled cigars to try blind? Say we try. Oh, all right. Let me talk to Rahul with that. I like that idea. But we need to get some buy-in. So I got to make it worth his while too. But okay, I'll ask Tom. That's a good idea. I will talk to Rahul about putting that together. Maybe we can do that like in early to mid-February. Maybe mid to late February, depending on where are we now. We are now, still the first week. So yeah, probably sooner the better. Or maybe the February. George says that'll be the time I want to be. But by that point, George, so if we can't do the in-person thing, I think what we could do is, so I was watching this guy's live stream last week. And I think I mentioned this guy, Alan, who does motion picture sound. And what he was doing was taking a Zoom call with sound people from all over the world, really. Somewhere like in Europe and Australia and all that. But so they would all get, so we could probably figure out a way to Zoom it. And so what he was doing a Zoom and then using something called StreamYard to push it out to the internet. So I just have to, once I get this new computer, then I can start to figure out really how to put that together. Because I think that would be a really interesting way to do that one, especially if we're smoking these cigars. Every week we get together, smoke each different cigar, and then have the reveal. Maybe bring Rahul in for the reveal. Or maybe you want to do the reveal. Should the reveal be done at the end of 3 weeks or each week? Or maybe maybe we'll rank it all and then do the review. What do you think? Let me know. Rusty says end of every show. I'm game for that. Yeah, the ranking idea might be fun. I think that'd be nice. I did this. There's a show. There's a podcast called The Ash Holes, and they're part of the whole United Cigar Network that Cigar Authority kind of runs. And a couple years back, they did this thing called, I forgot what they called it. Basically, you spent like $70. They sent you like 6 or 10 cigars, and like 8 cigars, and they were all. They did. Oh, there were 12 cigars. They did it really interestingly. Like they did it over a series of weeks, and they would send you a pack of 4 or 6, maybe it was 6, and they were all they took the labels off and they put these on. These are the actual labels from that contest, and so every week you smoked a cigar from the pack, or 2 cigars that week, and then they talked about it, and then you kind of said, okay, of these 2, I like this one the best. And they did this round robin format that and I thought that was really interesting. I think that was really interesting. Yeah, the cigar, you know what? One thing about this cigar, it is very consistent. Like, it has not really changed materially the entire time, like from this whole time, right? It's been very consistent. It's been very nice. It's a very nice, good cigar. Consistent. The draw is really nice. The amount of smoke is copious. The cacao kind of leathery tones have been, very much constant throughout the smoke. It's just not like March Madness. Have a tournament. Oh, that might be a good idea. That's it. And March might be good. Not quiet, but it's cold out. And that would give more time to prepare that. That'd be good. Maybe what we'll do is we'll do cigars, and then and coffee pairings. Maybe that's what we'll do then. And hopefully by that time the shipping will be more consistent. But I haven't had too much problem with shipping. I mean, outside of the gift from my niece for Christmas arriving after Christmas, I haven't really had much troubles. Like I just received notice today that I got a new shipment of labels for coffee bags. That took only a couple of days to get there, and that was via UPS. So I guess maybe they're catching up or whatever. But of course, I'm not shipping as much as a lot of people are. Like my shipping hasn't really. I don't buy a lot online. I buy very little online. I try to buy as much as I can in person. Personally speaking, I just like the idea of getting to know a place and, you know, yeah, I like the idea of getting to know people at a shop and like at a business, so that at least you have that interaction, And um, actually, I did have a little trouble with this one order. I was buying for my laptop. I've had this laptop now since 2013, and so the internal battery is just not fully shot, but it doesn't last very long. And so I finally ordered a new one from this company called OWC, Other World Computing. I didn't buy from them, for whatever computer need I might need, like specialized stuff for Mac. For many, many years, it's always been top notch, like fantastic, like always on the ball. But this time, man, I ordered this thing on the 20th of December, the battery, and I ordered this bracket, right? There's a bracket for the Mac Mini that you can mount it under your desk. So there's a bracket for that. And so I finally was waiting, and I was like, what the hell happened to this order? So I sent a message, never heard back. I tried calling, waiting. And finally I got through to someone, and they were like, well, what's happened is that we had a timeout, an authorization timeout, which means that evidently how they're running their service is that when you check out, they take a credit card, they get an authorization for the amount, and that's on hold. And if they don't ship it, they don't process it. So because they were actually out of the bracket, and they're supposed to get the bracket in tomorrow, but since they were out of the bracket, they didn't process the order. And so at the end of the year, the authorization for my credit card ran out. And they're like, well, we weren't able to do anything. And I was like, well, that's why I hear from anyone. It's like, so I was a little bit irritated with that. But I think we've settled all that now, and now it's finally going to be on its way. And then also I don't know if how many of you guys are members of the Tatuai Saints and Sinners Club. I know Tony is. I'm not sure if any of you guys are. But Tony, you said you received your kit. So every year they send a kit. And every week I've been waiting for this kit to arrive for myself because I'm like, I'm going to use that on the show. I'm going to do an unboxing here. But I went to the post office today, still no box. So I'm like, what the heck happened, I know they've been a little bit behind, and I think they sent it all by by postal service. So I think that might be an issue as well. Oh, and George saying lots of cigar monthly clubs are delayed. Yeah, seems like it was mid. So Tony was here. Tony says it's mid-December. So are you saying that they started shipping mid-December? Yeah, normally I've been a member since 2013 with the Saints and Sinners, and it's always arrived in October. But I did see a message from Casper saying that they did have some troubles, and there's a problem with the lighter. Evidently, there's a lighter in the kit that has an issue that they're resending. They're going to send. They had to get the issue fixed from the manufacturer, and then they're going to ship those at a later date. So evidently, in the kit, some people got them with the lighter, and they had problems, and so that's how they figured it out. And then the ones that the boxes, the kits that shipped out after they've discovered the problem, do not have the lighter. Oh, he received it he received it in December. Okay. So now that we're in 2021, any plans for the year? I don't really have any plans for the year. They sent us a notice from the. So you guys might know that I do judging for coffee events around the world, and so they sent us a notice that the World Championship we normally go to, that we would have gone to in May in Melbourne, Australia, has been moved to Taipei, Taiwan for November of this year. So maybe we'll be ready to go in November. I'm not sure if we'll be done by November. But hopefully we'll be done by November. Gosh, that would be terrible. I haven't been on a plane in over a year now. And normally I'm on a plane every few weeks. So by the way, how's the picture looking today, and how's the lighting? I'm trying a little bit of a different setup today, using a different light source for the main light that's illuminating my face. And I changed some of the lighting behind us. Is it looking all right? You might have noticed I got the LEDs running in the background. This is a very YouTuber kind of setup. Like, I notice a lot of the YouTubers out there are, especially in the gaming sector, which I'm not part of, but the gaming guys tend to have a lot of like LED lights everywhere. I thought it would give a nice little contrast. Tony says, picture's great on the phone, a bit blurry on the screen. Is it my face that's blurry? Because sometimes what I have running, the camera that I have running, it actually is running at a f1.8, so really shallow depth of field. And so the way that it focuses, it normally is supposed to follow the eyes. So that's why if you notice when I'm actually holding stuff up, I kind of have to cover the eyes, because otherwise it sometimes might not. Once it's locked on the eyes like that, if I do this and leave the eyes in, well, that's actually working now. Well, sometimes with the cigar. Yeah, like that. Oh, there it is. So it takes a moment to really lock in. But while we're doing that, might as well talk about this. It's still smoking the same. It's smoking relatively evenly, as you can see. The ash is nice. Still a good amount of smoke. Still burning well. And as Rusty always asks, is this a cigar I'd buy again or buy a box of? Maybe. Maybe. I don't know if you guys get this, but I get this, and I might have said this before, but as the cigar gets closer to the end, I find it harder and harder to smoke because part of me is like, it feels like I'm inhaling the smoke. So it makes me want to kind of cough and gag a little bit. And this one, as you can see here, as I can see in the screen, it's got a lot of smoke. So this is really interesting because it's really one of these shows where I can be put out like that. It's all smoke. Hope that's visually interesting. Yeah, Mercy said, if there's hesitation, then no. Yeah, unfortunately, there is some hesitation in that. I think also, Tony, what might be causing is that I noticed that I think sometimes the lens wants to lock focus on the microphone. So if I'm not on the same plane as the microphone, then I'm the one that falls out of focus. And the one f1.8, if you guys aren't familiar with cameras, is the shallow depth of field allows it to be sharp in a very narrow range, so that the rest of you is kind of blurry. And people tend to like that because it gives it that filmic quality rather than the real sharpness that you get from video. George says lots of Drew estates tend to do that. Yeah, I do agree with you on that. So when I was at Cigar for Safari in 2014, I ended up getting a cold. So for most of my Cigar Safari, I had this cold. And I don't know if you've ever smoked when you had a cold, but like, your nostrils get all occluded, and there's this one particular flavor that I get from cigars, and I ended up smoking a lot of the Nica Rusticas during the trip, and I came home with probably a bundle of them, and there was always this particular flavor, no matter what I smoked, that I just could never get away from. But also, speaking of Cigar Safari, if you guys ever get the chance to go with your local shop, I highly encourage you to go. It's really a great trip. You fly down to Nicaragua, you land at Manoa, and they pretty much, most of the time, they get everyone to fly together. The year that I went with my friends from Hawaii. They were putting together a trip, and so I happened to be there a week prior because I was looking for coffee. So I did my coffee thing, and then I met everyone in Manoa. And so everyone arrives right around 11 o'clock in the morning. They pile you into a van. And from the moment you get in the van, there is unlimited drinks, beers, rums, mostly beers on the van, and then unlimited cigars. They just give you cigars nonstop. So the first thing you do is we go into Manoa City, this outdoor steakhouse, have this steak lunch, really great. And you just smoke and drink. Now, our trip was a little bit different than most groups will immediately after lunch in Manoa, you'll go straight to Esteli. We had a little bit of a different one. We spent the night in another town called Granada. And Granada is this really old school colonial style town on Lake Manoa. And it's really a pretty town. So we went there the first night. And man, it is just like cigar hedonism. So like it's nonstop cigars, like nonstop. And I remember that first night we were at the hotel. It was late at night. We were in the pool. It's 3 a.m, right? And we all started talking. We're all talking like, so how many cigars you smoked today? And by that point, I was on my 9th cigar. So between 11 a.m. and 3 a.m., I had smoked 9 cigars. Man, that was epic, epic. And then from there, we went to Esteli, where they have actually dorm rooms on campus of Drew. So you stay there, and they have 3 meals a day. They give you tours of all the facilities, the fields. You see the warehouses. You see the factory. Then you go to the other factory of Joya de Nicaragua. You see them. And then, this is over like a 3-day period. And so you actually get the opportunity to, at both Joya de Nicaragua and at Drew Estate, you get to sit down and blend your own cigars. And what you do is that they take you to a blending room, or they take this big room where you have this big box of all these tobaccos, and you kind of take them, you roll them, you smoke them a little bit, you get a taste for them, and then you kind of put them together, and there's a roller there that kind of helps you roll it together, and you get to taste it, and then you kind of determine your blend. You write it all down, and then before you leave the next day, they actually present you with a bundle of the cigars that you designed. Yeah, Rusty, yeah, 9. It was pretty ridiculous. Like, I think my palate was pretty much toasted by that time. And so it's interesting. Like, so we were at Tony's house on New Year's Eve. Was that New Year's Eve or right after New Year's? And I brought one of the cigars the cigar I had rolled at Drew Estate. I still have a few left. And the interesting thing is that when I put it together, I was trying to find something that I would really enjoy. But of course, I had a cold, right? So my taste was really occluded. So I was kind of flying by the seat of my pants to put this together. And I've smoked one of the, I smoked some of the cigars over the 6 years that it's been, or 7 years, and they just never tasted great. Like, I was just like, eh. But finally, after 7 years, nearly 7 years, 6.75 years, when I was smoking the other night, man, it was actually all right. It was all right. I'm all right with that. Somewhere I've got a note that says what it was, but the interesting thing with Drew is that they've got in the dorm place, they've got this what is essentially a clubhouse, and they have a bunch of cigars for you to choose, for you to select smoke as much as you want. The entire time, smoke as much as you want. And man, I came home and they give you a whole bunch of cigars. Willie Herrera happened to be in Esteli the week that we were there, so he came by and he was like, this is actually before the Herrera Esteli came out. So he was like, here's my new cigar that's coming out in a couple months. Give it a try. But don't post about it. So actually, I got this painting back here during that trip from Jesse Flores, who was at the time was the head artist for Drew Estate. So you can kind of see it's a Liga Privada number 9 painting that has the dirty rat. It's a dirty rat, actually, if you can see it. There's a dirty rat in a glass ashtray. And when I saw it, I was really impressed by the way that the painter did it, because it really does look like the glass. Like, he painted the glass really well with it really has that 3D quality. If you see it in person, it's really pretty cool. So I brought it home and I stretched it out into a frame, but I haven't put a frame around it. So it just has the interior frame. One day I'll spend the money and get the actual frame around it. So as you just saw there, I was really puffing it pretty hard, because I can feel it starting to I can really feel it start to slow down, like it's starting to go. The burn is starting to die out. So, all right. So yeah, it's still rolling. You know, like sometimes you get the cigars, and at this point they start to get bitter. This really hasn't done that. This has still been very consistent. Uh, yeah, definitely starting to get more of that inhalation of the smoke. Which I need to combat by drink. Yeah, still good, still consistent, still solid. Like at one point, I was kind of worried that there was going to be a little bit of burn in, but it really didn't. That was just, I guess, it just looked that way. It wasn't really any problems. It's been a problem-free smoke. Starting to get a bit warm on the fingers. So I don't know if you guys have been following I know we talked about it before, but the Star Trek Discovery. Today is the final episode of season 3. So it's finally ending. I'm curious to know what's happening. And so far, it's been a good season. And then I don't know if you saw, but on New Year's Day, the most recent episode of Doctor Who came out, and we watched that. That was, I don't know if you guys follow much Doctor Who, but I've been following a lot of it since Eccleston started in 2005 when he came back with that. I watched a lot of his, but mostly I've been watching ever since the Matt Smith era. So Matt Smith, and then on to Peter Capaldi, and now it is Jodie Whittaker, and she's now the female Doctor. And this is the last episode of the last season, or I guess it's the first episode of the next season technically, but it was shot with last season. And so a couple departures from the companions. So in this last episode, they brought back the Daleks. But, overall, I didn't think it was very good. I really didn't think it was a great episode. It was kind of disappointing, especially when waiting for 10 months. And it's like, well, that's all you gave us. Now we have to wait like another year. I don't know about that. And then I don't know if you guys saw, but the season 3 of the Karate Kid, that the Cobra Kai dropped. 10 episodes of that, half-hour episodes, and I powered through that this week. I probably powered that in 2 days, all 10 episodes, and that was pretty good. That was actually, it's probably the best season so far. Well, best season so far from a nostalgic point. Like if you enjoyed the Karate Kid movies when we were young, I think you'll enjoy this particular season. They brought Elizabeth Shue back to play Allie Mills, and they brought Tamlin Tomita back to play the girl from Okinawa. They actually shot some in Okinawa, which was quite interesting. And while they did shoot at Okinawa, and they shoot some of the exteriors in California, most of the entire series is actually shot in Atlanta, Georgia, which is has become Atlanta. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but Atlanta over the last, I'd say 10 years or 15, 20 years, has really become a big production center for movies. I think because they offer a lot of tax incentives. Studios like to go with tax incentives. And they also have a very good crew base down in Atlanta. So what that really means is that when you've got a lot of crew locally in an area, it makes it more attractive to the studios because they don't have to travel most of their crew from Hollywood. They'll bring their keys from Hollywood to run the departments, but then after that, they can pretty much hire locally, which saves the studio a lot of money in production cost. Rusty says, if they bring in Hilary Swank, I'm going to lose it. And that would be interesting to see that happen. Maybe for season 4 they'll try to do that. Right now, Hilary Swank is stuck on Mars. She flew there over the last few weeks on a series called Away, which actually was a really good series and it had really great ratings. But Netflix, I guess it costs a lot of money to produce, so Netflix has decided they will not renew it for season 2, and they have left Hilary Swank stuck on Mars, where she's probably dead. Oh, and speaking of more stars kind of thing, there's space stuff is there's The Expanse. I don't know if you've seen The Expanse. That's actually turning out to be really a good. It's really good. It's turned out to be a really good season. If you guys know the premise of The Expanse, humans have expanded throughout the solar system, and now we've colonized Mars, and Mars broke away, and they have their own civilization on Mars. And then there's also been colonization of the asteroid belt, where there's a bunch of people called the Belters that live out there. And the Belters are kind of like the Appalachian people that are just kind of like the low-level workers that are kind of abused and neglected and maligned. And, there's a whole faction of Belters that are, revolutionaries that have now attacked Earth. And so in this point, they kind of commandeered some asteroids and propelled them towards Earth and have wiped out big swaths of Earth. Like I think, everything from New York to Philadelphia had been wiped out. I think parts of Europe have been wiped out. And so that's kind of where we are when we last left off in last week's episode. Oh, now it's starting to burn my fingers. Yeah, I've got this. We're definitely at that point where it's hard for me to take a draw because of the smoke inhalation. All right, it's time to put that down. Oh. Yeah, this apple jack's pretty rough. Good for soup l'oignon. Maybe not so good for sipping. And another week of getting lit. By itself, the coffee is still lovely. Nice cacao, chocolate. Like I said early on in the show when I was talking about Annie Ruth and her coffee, like she's really put a lot of focus on improving the quality of the Bourbon. And she's probably one of the best at it right now. Cheers to getting lit. Absolutely. Whew. All right, there it is. There's a little more water here for me. There we go. Another good hang with all of you. Yeah, so that's been great. What are we doing today? That's it. I think that's good. I think that's pretty much everything. Hopefully this week was great for you guys. We've got some interesting times here. What's been happening in DC, as all of you guys know. Interesting stuff. Hopefully we'll be able to pull it together and not be so, whatever. So yeah, so that's it for this week. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you spending the time with me again here on Thursday night. We're going to do it again every Thursday. Next week, Thursday, we're going to come back. One of those two cigars, either the Crown Heads or the Illusion Candela. That'll be next week and then the next 2 weeks. And then, yeah, I guess that's good. What else there to say? I guess that's pretty much it. Thank you for coming down. Really appreciate you spending the time with me. And I hope it's going to be a good week for you guys coming up. So again, we'll be back Thursday night. Thanks again, and see you next week.